We're talking The Running Man 2025, a remake from Arnold Schwarzenegger's 1987, The Running Man. And a lot to talk about as this absolutely flopped at the box office. It's your boy Flying J from Minor League Films. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that sub button. We got a lot to get into. This movie brought in just $28 million globally, 17 million US, $20 million globally on a $110 million budget. And if you know about budget, you know they almost have to make double back that to start making money. We're going to talk about absolutely why here, a lot to get into with this movie. So, we all saw the trailer. Thought it was absolutely like fantastic. This trailer got you excited. It made you feel like this was going to be a fun movie to jump into, and now obviously a wild ride. A couple reasons why that didn't happen, as we'll get into later. But I was pretty excited for it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to see that, and I'm down. Obviously, starts with Glen Powell. Glen Powell for me, and I think for a lot of people, is a rising actor in Hollywood. I think he's up at the top, and looks like he could be a really good action star as we go on. And he's delivered. I mean, Twisters, I really liked. I thought he was fun in it. Obviously, Top Gun Maverick, probably the best movie I've seen him in. I thought the movie was fantastic, and he's not the star in that, but obviously thought he did a really good job. Anyone But You. Also, these movies made a ton of money at the box office, so we know he can deliver. Come back with director Edgar Wright. I've liked Edgar Wright in a lot of stuff. I always think Scott Pilgrim is one of the more underrated movies that he's ever dropped. But he's in here, produced by Stephen King, who's had a big year. I mean, he's in everything. The Long Walk is definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. When I rank my list, it'll definitely end up in that top five somewhere. So we'll do that. But for this movie, The Running Man is basically a TV show that goes on a news network. And basically, where contestants try to survive for 30 days, and they have these assassins after them, and the public can also help them get captured for some money, some things like that. So, story starts with Glen Powell, who plays Ben Richards, and he's a guy who's struggling down on his luck. Now, I will say he's done a little bit to create that negative luck that he has there. Obviously, he has problems getting fired from his job. He keeps having problems fighting, going against the establishment and certain things like that. And they're like, well, let's do us get on out of here. So things a little bit. And he's definitely an angry guy, as we learn in this movie, but this movie has a lot of underlying messages that I don't think they necessarily perform well throughout the entire movie, because this feels like what should be a fun action movie, blended with a couple of deep messages that have in there. But it feels like at times they have this movie and they just stop and they flip to another movie. Then they flip back to the action movie. Then they stop and they flip to a deeper message movie. And it doesn't necessarily feel smooth, all that in a 2 hour and 15-minute runtime, which is nowhere needed. I felt at parts of this movie like we're in another movie, and especially at the end, that sort of last act feels like a completely other movie. So I thought that was one of the struggles with the movie, but we got to survive for 30 days. They have these assassins going after people. We got three contestants that we have, and they will run and try to survive. Now, Glen Powell, his character, like I told you, is down his luck. He goes to join this, basically joins this to make money. His daughter, and this is a movie of the haves and have-nots. He can't afford to give his daughter money. His wife is working a ridiculous amount, obviously doing some risque stuff, almost to the point where she gets desperate, and they're all desperate. And he's like, look, I can change our luck. Unfortunately, I may have to risk my life. And Josh Brolin comes in and he says, hey, like, as we can all see from home and like in the theater, hey, you're like a charming guy. You got some charisma. The audience would love to see you try to survive for 30 days. You have that that we need for this show. And look, I'm let you know, on these other shows, you ain't gonna make a lot of money. Nobody really makes a lot of money there. But here, it's just a week, 2 weeks. Maybe even you can last 30 days. You can have life-changing money. So that's a big theme in this movie, as we see when we go to the TV studio. This is a nice downtown city. Everything's shining. The people are happy. When we're where Glen Powell's from is kind of the slums. It's a little rough. There's probably a lot of crime out there. It's definitely a two-sided movie. Either you rich and you're loaded, or you're broke and you're struggling. So a reflection of what goes on in the real world. But Glen Powell gets desperate. A little bit about his background character, and I think this is a little bit of beef. Like, I like Glen Powell. I think he's a really good action star, as I talked about earlier. He feels kind of one note in this movie. And the one note, for the most part, is angry. He's an angry guy. This is why he got fired from his job and how he ended up on The Running Man in the first place. And when he goes through these trials that they have, he's just angry. So much so that a guy tries to hit him with an electric stick and he just grabs it. He's so angry, it doesn't affect him, even though he just got electrocuted 5 minutes before and was like, hey, don't do that again. And now I guess he adapted to it, or the electricity respects his anger. So I can't bother this dude. So he's pretty angry, and I think that's how they write his character, and it feels a little underwritten. Now, Glen Powell is charming. I think personally he does well with some different things in here. I think the comedy, his comedic bits, he does some accents. Like, I think that's very fun, and I like that part. But I think a lot of times his character is underwritten, and it feels like a lot of this is either written for a movie just to be like, hey, you're coming in here, and we know how this goes. I'm not a big fan of long run times. I want a movie, if this is coming in and say, oh, we're either a horror or we're just a fun action movie, be an hour 30, be an hour 45. Give us a fun ride and get us out of there. And I think this movie, it felt like we're going to get that fun ride. I mean, the action scenes are good, are really good. There's some good bits of comedy in here. It is at times a fun ride. And then sometimes we stop and we get into the other movies and it's like, I mean, it's cool, but it's not what we came for. And it's kind of knocking us off the path that we've been riding and what we came to see and what we saw in the trailer. And I think that's one of the main problems of why this movie is disappointing. Like 2 hour 15 runtime, that is not needed. The other, you guys, Glen Powell, the other contestants in here, very one note. I mean, I think those characters are so dull. They take one out in like a matter of minutes almost, where it's like you might as well have not even been there. It's just for a little bit. So I think there's a lot underwritten here, but I think there's some good character acting. Oh, the guy I got to point to is Coleman Domingo. He's the host of The Running Man, and his job too is we also know Glen Powell's struggling. We don't know really the background of the other two, but we could guess they're desperate as well. They make the crowd and the audience hate them and want to turn them in and want to see them die and want to lust for blood. I think Coleman Domingo does a great job. Like he is the best part of the movie. Like he's really the star, and like Glen Powell gets the most runtime, but Coleman Domingo is awesome in here. So I think I definitely have to shout him out. Josh Brolin, another person in here, he's very one note as well. But you know, it fits to the character. I think it gets a little crazy, but he's kind of one note, and I wish there was a little more to him. But I will start with the positives here. So, in the positive, obviously, it's a lot of cool action. The action scenes I talked about earlier, they do those really well. There's really some good ones, and you feel like Glen Powell is definitely rising up the action ranks. And I mean, I hit a point with me where if he's in it, I'm down to watch it. I want to watch it. Glen Powell's in it. He's much watched TV. I think he is good as an action star in this, and I think that's where he shines. And more of the emotional bits, which he's not bad at, but more emotional bits, they just feel as an underwritten part of the movie. Comedy bits, like I said, I think all around with the characters. So a lot of good comedy moments, different things that go on here. Some of the dialogue. Coleman Domingo, where he's like, "This is America. We're not going to stand for no BS." I think it's really good, and I think he does a great job. I think the comedy overall is good, and this movie at times is the movie you came to see. I think it's fun. I think a lot at parts it's like, man, it's cool riding and see this guy survive. How can he survive? Like people helping him, people turning them in, people you think that are friends, and next thing you know, they're like, actually, I'm gonna turn you in. I mean, they flip fairly quick. You wish there was something a little longer than that. But you also have a side plot, and I'll try to scare out Daniel Urza. You'll know from All American, he has a plot in here where he's more this guy who's just he's the woke guy, he's the aware guy. He's like, hey man, I watched this show. I know they're setting people up and I don't want, as a result of that, you to die. So I'm gonna help you out. I thought that was a pretty solid cameo. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So I think he does a solid job. It's like him, his little brother. I don't know the name of the actor, but those two are in here, and that's one of the plots. Also, too, we got Michael Cera in here who I really like his cameo. Now, that part of the movie feels more like Edgar Wright. It feels like more satire, more over exaggeration. Like the scene where he's in here is very, very like it's a very fun part and it's crazy and it almost doesn't blend into the movie because it's almost like other times we're more serious, we're more dramatic, we're more angry, like different emotion here, and we get it with him, and it's like it's fun, it's a lot of exaggeration, it's crazy, like it's intense scenes, there's a lot of action. So I really like his cameo in here in that part of the movie. It just felt like a different movie to me. It could have more, if the ride would have been a little more of that, I think it would have blended better. But that's just certainly like a part here. As far as the negatives, man, I think, and this is my biggest take with this movie and why it didn't do so well. It felt like they just had a bundle of ideas. They just came to the table. They're like, "Yo, these are all our ideas." Dropped them all on the table. It was like, "Well, we gotta make a movie here. Well, these are all good. We don't need to cut any of them. Let's just do them all." And I think that's part of the movie because it feels like nothing's cut. Like I said, you get towards the end of this movie, it feels like you're in another movie. Like it's like, well, where did this come from? We got this new character introduced. Like I thought we were wrapping it up. I thought this was leading to an end, and it's like, no, we have a whole nother 45 minutes, half hour to go. And I think it's just way too much runtime here. way too much character subplots that we don't need or we can take and speed up. I think the first one definitely with Daniel Urza, they could have sped that up a little more. I think this last one with this new character in here later on, I'll get her name in a minute, but I think they could have definitely sped it up. So definitely with that, I think it's too much runtime. And then just the overall messages of this movie, they have a lot of underlying messages, and for the most part, I don't really care. Like, I get what they're saying, and it's very plausible to real life society. And I get it's coming from Stephen King. And there's definitely stuff like that's going to be written in there. But this overall like TV message of what's going on with the haves and the have not, how this show is obviously like they're not playing what's real, they're not reporting the facts, and they're actually like having people just turn on people with this false representation. Like, we get all that. Like, we live in the real world, we know how that is, but it's also too like it's not smooth. It's herky jerky. It's like, okay, we're on this. Now we're trying to get back to this fun action ride. Now we're on this. Now we're trying to get back to this fun action ride, and it's not like a smooth, seamless transition with this over. I think this movie could have been cut by at least 30 minutes. I think at least 30 minutes could have cut off, and this movie would have been a more fast transition. You probably would have got more showings in there, made a little bit more money. But I think, and I'm looking at it, critic score is like 65%, audience score is 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. So audience is clearly enjoying it way more. If they got an 80%, they like it. But clearly, they don't like it enough to pay for it. So I will say that this movie's not making a lot of money. That's my problems with it. This I think it's just too many ideas trying to fit in. I think Glen Powell is good, but he's underwritten. And overall, I think this movie is just over ideaed and underwritten. Like it feels like characters just need to be fleshed out more. They take some shortcuts, but they don't take shortcuts when it comes, or they take long cuts when it comes to presenting these ideas, letting them get the full screen time. And unfortunately, you got to have an editor. You got to cut some stuff down. So I mean, I like Edgar Wright, but this so and a lot of times does not really feel like his movie. It feels like his movie along with somebody else's movie, along with the studio's movie and Glen Powell's movie, all trying to blend into one. And I think that's what leading to this box office disaster because this movie is gonna bomb, man. If it's only made 28 right now, I don't know if it makes 75. Like it's gonna drop at least by half. So the next week. So I don't think it's gonna make 75. I think this is a bomb, which I think this could have been a really good movie. I mean, I think that 1980s one is just it relies on the fun. I think it does a much better job at doing that. I haven't seen it in a while, but I just remember it being more entertaining than this one right here. And unfortunately, this leaves some stuff to be desired. So that's kind of my review of The Running Man. That's why I think it did bomb and not do so well. But I want to know what you think. Did you see this? What you think about it? I put a poll up, so make sure you definitely check that out and answer that. I think some people said it's fun, some people said it's not very good, and some people said it's all right. And I think more so it's all right, or it wasn't that entertaining. For me, if I had to rate it, this is a run of the mill movie. I can't say go to the theater and pay for it because I don't know if you necessarily get your money's worth. I think at times you feel like, wow, like that was worth being in the theater and paying for. But most of the time, it's like, it's just an average movie at best average for myself. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. We are running polls every day. We're trying to do 2 polls a day on trending stuff that's going on. So we're talking it a lot right now. That's coming out. We're talking a lot of mainstream stuff. So check out the polls. Make sure to answer that. Also, we are chasing 1,000 subs. We have gained ground over the couple days. So appreciate you. We'll give that. We will do that. We will do that contest giveaway when we get there. But I appreciate all the support, everybody who watches, everybody who enjoys the content we do. We're certainly trying to work our way up on this YouTube game. So appreciate the comments, appreciate the subs, appreciate you watching, recommending the video. And if you ever want to talk movies, come talk with us. It's your boy Flyknit J. If you want to find us, we are MLF Shorts, pretty much all locations. So here on YouTube, the Shorts page getting started up. It's already running on TikTok, already running on Instagram. Also on TikTok is Kuronocomics, where Scotty basically does a lot of his comic stuff. He does his little reactions to a lot of movies and certain parts that we talk about together on there. But most importantly, here at Minor League Films, we're on YouTube. So hit that sub button, and your boy Flyknit J. You know where to catch me. I'll be right here. So again, appreciate everybody, all that good stuff. We'll catch you next time.